A flagship on a budget. That's a line we've gotten used to over the last year or so, thanks to the likes of Xiaomi and OnePlus. And now we're seeing the big guns react. Lenovo's reaction via their sub-brand ZUK is the ZUK Z1. Sporting last year's flagship specs with a very familiar design and Cyanogen on board, is this a phone that you should care about? Or is it a case of too little too late? Well, let's find out in this video. But before we do, if this is your first time here or in case you're still pissed at me for sharing ZUK's brilliant ad, well, my name's Ash, this is C4E Tech and you're watching my full review of the ZUK Z1. Let's get started. Let's get this out of the way now. This is not the most original of designs. It reminds me of Apple, Samsung or Xiaomi depending on what angle I'm looking at it from. But that being said, it's not a bad design either. Metal to the sides, chamfered edges, plastic to the back, well, admittedly glossy plastic, but then again, whatever. As far as placements go, to the front on top we have a notification LED, earpiece, sensors and an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. We then have a 5.5-inch display and at the bottom a physical home key flanked by two capacitive keys. ZUK lets you choose between on-screen and capacitive keys. And the physical home key also doubles as a capacitive back key. It even has a fingerprint scanner built in and that works great. It's a little faster than the one found on the Galaxy S6. And that's saying something. To the back, we have a 13 megapixel rear camera, secondary noise cancelling microphone and a dual LED flash. The ZUK branding sits at the bottom. The 3.5mm headphone jack is present up top and we have a slot to the left. Here's where you can add two nano SIM cards. The power button on the volume rockers can be found to the right and we have the primary microphone and speaker at the bottom with a USB 3.0 Type-C port in between. Overall, the ZUK Z1 feels nice in hand. One could even say a little premium thanks to the use of metal. Despite the 8.9mm thickness and the 175-gram weight, it doesn't really feel bulky or heavy. Actually, it's quite comfortable to use, easy to grip with tactile buttons. The overall footprint also seems compact, especially when taking into consideration the fact that it does sport a 4100 mAh battery underneath. Anyway, talking about specs, this phone's powered by a Snapdragon 801 chip. That's 4 Krait 400 cores clocked at 2.5 GHz each, coupled with an Adreno 330 GPU and 3 gigs of RAM. There's 64 gigs of onboard storage, but sadly, no room for memory expansion via microSD. Yes, these are last year's flagship specs, but the 801 was probably the best chip Qualcomm's put out. Given the troubled 810, it still remains a great choice. Whether it's benchmarks or real-time intensive tasks like gaming, the Z1 performed admirably. It managed to blow away anything we threw at it with ease. If there's one con that's worth mentioning, that'd be the lack of NFC though. Moving on to audio, the downwards facing speaker outputs good quality audio, the levels were acceptable. The audio quality via the 3.5mm headphone jack was top notch. Sadly, while the call quality was decent, the cellular reception was just okay. Guys, I have serious reception issues here at my office, so no matter what phone I use, I always need to walk out to talk. With the ZUK Z1, I've had some issues even outside. But when I'm not in this area, if I'm say home or somewhere else, reception's generally okay. So basically what I'm saying is, you need to be wary if you live in an area with spotty coverage. If not, the reception's good, the call quality is good for the most part. Moving on, the Z1 sports a 5.5-inch Gorilla Glass covered Full HD IPS display that gives it a pixel density of 401 pixels per inch. This display is sharp, colors are accurate, viewing angles are also great, and it's bright, meaning I had no issues using it outdoors. There's a software option included that cranks up the brightness even further or adjusts brightness and temperature depending on what you want. Now, all manufacturers tend to hide a bit of the bezel thickness by leaving a little black area between the display and the painted side bezel. ZUK seems to have gone overboard here, and the black bars running around the display are an eyesore to say the least. To give you some perspective, here's the Z1 side by side with the Moto X Style. Anyway, that being said, the display in itself is very good. With that, we get to the aspect of the Z1 that I had the highest of expectations for. Battery. And this phone managed to deliver. The battery life was amazing. I got over 5 hours of screen on time with the Z1. 5 hours might not sound great to you, you might get 5 plus hours with another phone, but the fact is screen on times are very subjective. It varies based on your day-to-day usage. Say if you're someone who watches a lot of videos, your screen on time would be a lot more compared to someone who games a lot. Me personally, my typical usage involves a couple of hours of calls, 30 minutes to an hour of casual gaming, say Sudoku, 8 ball pool, or something, an hour of music via Bluetooth, and again another hour of videos, YouTube, or streaming from my PC. 3G and Wi Fi on all day with a lot of push notifications for social media and mail. So, over 5 hours of screen on time is great for me, and the Z1 even lasts 2 entire days with this kind of usage. I can very easily get through these 2 days without having to constantly monitor the battery stats. So, I really don't remember the last time I was this excited about a battery. Anyway, moving on, let's now talk about the cameras. The Z1 sports a 13 megapixel rear camera with optical image stabilization, and this camera performs quite nicely. Images shot with it retain detail, it gets the colors right more often than not. The processing's also good, no over sharpening or any issues there. As far as exposure and white balance go, again, it was pretty good. Under low light though, that's where this camera slips. The performance dips quite drastically. There's a lot of noise and the viewfinder barely shows anything. But then again, taking into consideration the decent performance and the good lighting conditions, this seems to be more of a software issue. So here's to hoping ZUK and Cyanogen can put their heads together and come up with a fix. And talking about software limitations, this phone has a Snapdragon 801 chip underneath, and it's a 13 megapixel rear camera. So theoretically, there shouldn't be any issue. There shouldn't be any limitation as to why it cannot shoot 4K video, but it doesn't. You can only shoot 1080p videos, and the footage was unimpressive. It's not bad, it's just nothing special. So again, another thing that might be fixed in the future, ZUK might actually be able to enable 4K on this phone. As far as the front camera goes, it's an 8 megapixel front facing camera and it performs decently. The selfies that I shot turned out pretty good. As far as the camera UI goes, this uses the Cyanogen camera app, and you'd probably have seen it before with the OnePlus One or any of the U phones. Swipe for modes and filters. HDR does take an annoying second. You can hit the settings key for more options, and that's it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Talking about software, the ZUK Z1 runs on Cyanogen OS 12.1, built on top of Android 5.1 Lollipop. All Cyanogen features are present and accounted for. The theme store to change the look and feel of the UI, the app themer that lets you theme individual aspects of the interface, different modes for performance, detailed customization options including button customizations, DPI changes, and more. It's all there. Cyanogen OS feels fast and fluid here on the Z1. The 3 gigs of RAM help in seamlessly multitasking, jumping from one app to another. The apps themselves open up quick and there's rarely been any lag. I did, however, run into a bug or two occasionally, a freeze here, a crash there, but a quick reboot fixed it. And it didn't happen frequently enough for it to actually be an issue. So with that, we get to the price, and the Z1 is priced at $320 US, and at that price, I do adore it. How can I not? Is it perfect? No, nowhere close. An unoriginal design, a lack of NFC, and an unimpressive camera, cellular reception could have, or rather should have been better. But then again, it's got a lot going for it. It's got a decent display, Cyanogen on board, 64 gigs of internal storage. The user experience is very good, and above all, the battery life is extraordinary. And at this price, I absolutely have no qualms recommending the Z1. But then again, that's just me. Do you agree? If you were in the market for a phone in this price range, would you consider giving ZUK a chance? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you were gonna pick one up, you can do that from merrymobiles.com. I'll leave a direct link in the description below along with the discount code. So with that, we get to the end of this review. Hope you liked it. Hope you found it useful. If you did, hit that like button. And if you didn't, do let me know what you feel I could have done better. Feedback's always welcome. Let me know in the comments below. So that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. If you guys feel that I've been a little all over the place with this video, it's because I'm shooting it for the third time, and I've been up for 6 hours before working on the b-roll footage and whatnot. And the first time my memory card kind of conked out, I got a different memory card and the same results, and I'm hoping this time it actually goes through. and had a lot of interruptions outside. Right now, my air conditioner isn't working. The last two times it worked perfectly, but right now it isn't. So kind of been turning the AC off, recording, going back, turning it on, letting myself, making myself stop sweating, and then recording again. So kind of been all over the place. So my apologies for that. So I guess it's just been one of those days. So I guess that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4E Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.